What up, what up, what up? You tuned into the Jose Morales podcast where we talk sports, business, and everything in between. I am your host, Jose Morales, and we're at my boxing academy. Joining me in the ring today is somebody very special to me, man, for real. This guy made a huge impact in my life. His name is Rodney Anderson, but if you hear me talking to him, I call him Rocky. Rocky, welcome on, Rocky. What you got to say? Say what's up, Rocky.
Good, man. How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. Good to be back in the ring.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while. It's been in the gym. First thing he says is, damn, I miss this place.
Yep. Walked in, man. You could smell the smell. You see the ring, and just, man, I miss it.
We have a long history that actually started in the same building that we're in right now.
Yep.
2008.
Yeah, I would say 2007, I think. 2000, yeah, 2007, 2008.
I think it was 7 January.
Yep.
I remember it was January.
Yeah, it was.
I remember.
It was cold.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember too. Getting up early, coming in. That's when I used to come in the early
7
sessions.
a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
That was a good group with Rob, Kelly, Jackie, you.
Yep.
It was a fun group.
There was a good group of us.
Yeah, good group. And this is well, I'm gonna bring this up. That group and all these people that I was around. At the time, I was 17 years old. I'm 16.
You wouldn't tell us how old you were, though.
Yeah, we had.
They asked you all the time.
It was a rule, man. We couldn't say. Nah.
I could believe it. I mean, you guys were tight to the vest with it. You didn't let it out.
So we were young. I mean, I was 16, and I think that actually played a big role in my life because I was around people like you here in the gym, professional, educated, successful, and I was a high schooler around these people.
Sure.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I was a kid in high school.
But you were well above your age, man. You were.
Yeah.
You definitely didn't act like you were a teenager, man. So
So you didn't think you didn't think I was 16?
You could tell you were young just by the way you looked, but not the way you acted. I mean, you carried yourself really well. Yeah, you didn't act like a teenager.
Yeah, because I think about it now. I think it had played a big role because when I went back to hang out with like friends in school, I was like, bro, the hell, the things you guys are doing is like, I'm not really trying to do that.
Yeah, you were mature, man, for your age.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I had a different vision, but I blame it on that. And I think I'll thank Angelo and Carrie for that because they're the ones who gave me the opportunity to be that way.
There's always steps in life you can look back and look at and go, man, whether it looked like it at the time, it was a great step and it led to bigger and greater things.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. By the way, Rocky does not like video, does not like pictures, does not like anything that has to do with, does not like social media. He does not like any of that. And I asked him to do this, and he said, "I'll do it for you." But he's not a big fan of it. So thank you, Rocky, for stepping out your box and making it happen.
Yeah, you do it for me. I always say if someone would do it for me, I would do it for them.
Yeah.
So that's the way you got to do
Rocky.
it. Of course.
I honestly love your story. I think I told you this in person. Like, your story is fucking incredible. Like, everything from the beginning to the end to where you're at now and where you're going. You're growing, your business, your family, everything about you I love. And for me, being around you and hearing all these things that you're doing and seeing all the things you're doing as a young man, it motivated me. So that's why I was like, it's very important to have Rocky on and have other people hear it so they get motivated like how I got motivated by you. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So that's why this was so important for me to have you on here. And plus to share all our memories and to share everything that that evolved from our relationship.
Sure.
You know
Started
what I mean?
just by signing up, and I always wanted to box when I was a kid, and my mom would never let me. So the gym was too far. They were working. I mean, back when I was young, parents were working full time, and so the latchkey kid, you had your key, you got in after school, no one was there, and so I didn't have the ability to go to the gym and go boxing, but I wanted to and couldn't do it. So I just remember being older and driving by and seeing primetime boxing, and it just like, well, let me give him a call, and no one can tell me no now. So I called and signed up, man. I remember the first day I walked in and you guys were there, and the rest is history, man. But it was one of the better things I've ever done for myself personally, too, was walking in the gym that day.
Yeah.
So you guys have done as much as you say I've done for you. You guys have done for me, and I'm glad I walked in that day.
It was one thing that I remember so clearly during those times is the fact that even after I left, you and I kept in touch.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You check on me. We'll go to lunch.
Yep, I remember.
all
You even came and trained me at my house for a little while.
Yeah, all those things were just very special. You know what I mean? Like, damn, bro, Rockies. And you went to all my fights local. You know, you would drive to go watch me fight.
Yeah.
These are all things that I will always remember. And it was like,
Me too.
Rocky's always been down for me, man. Like, Rocky's always been a really good friend, genuine friend. And I appreciated that. But tell us about your story, man. That's what I'm so excited to have you share, man. You grew up in the Oxnard area,
Oxnard,
right?
Ventura, yeah, Ventura, California.
Those that do not know where that is, that's Southern California by LA area.
Yeah, in between LA and Santa Barbara, so
Yeah.
it's centralized. But yeah, it's about an hour and a half from LA, close to the beach. Yeah, good area to grow up in, but a little rougher than up here for sure. But,
yeah, you had a Buick Regal.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, tell me about the Buick Regal.
That was my first car, but I really young age, I realized I was more of a worker than someone who went to school. I didn't do really well in school.
What were your parents like? Did they have were they like
They stayed
workers,
married
or were
until they both worked. They were both full time in the grocery industry, so they both worked for Safeway or Vons. My dad was a manager, my mom was a bookkeeper. Remember my mom going to work really early in the morning, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and she'd get home usually right after we went to school. So I just remember them both working full time. I mean, a lot of my sporting events and things, I mean, they just weren't there. Not that they didn't want to be, but just the way it was. Yeah, they were working. My grandma lived with us for a long time when we were young, so she would be there when we got home. So it was nice to have someone there, but it wasn't my parents. But at the end of the day, I always just struggled a little bit in school, and I had a paper out when I was 14. Loved it. Was making money. Quickly once you
got to explain paper route. People probably don't know.
Oh
what
man,
route is.
yeah. Well, back in the day, you used to have to wake up early in the morning, and I remember
This was social media back then.
Yeah, the newspaper, of course. You didn't pull it up on your phone. You had to go on your porch and go out and grab it. But it was a 7-day-a-week job, and that paper had to be delivered early in the morning on the weekends, and so I remember my friends all wanting to do something and hang out, and I had to wake up at like 6:30 in the morning because those papers had to be on the porch by a certain time. And but you'd wake up, you'd roll the papers, put them on your bike, roll around, and you had the 30-40 houses that you had to drop the papers off to, and then at the end of the month you had to go and collect it. And that was fun. You're knocking on the doors and people are ignoring you. You're trying to collect your $1.40 for the paper for that month, and that's the only way I got paid was I had to go collect all the money, and then the newspaper would send me a bill. I'd send them theirs, and I'd keep what's left over. But I had to go collect all that money door to door, and you'd hear people in there. They were in there, but they weren't answering, so you had to come back the next day to try to get the $1.25 or whatever it was. But that was a paper route. So I just started really early figuring out that I liked to make money. I wasn't really good in school. I did okay, but wasn't D.C. student at best.
You graduated?
No, I only made it through high school through my first semester of 10th grade. And then at that point, dropped out. I went to continuation school. I got in a lot of trouble. I got in some trouble that caused me to, make a decision that.
Like fighting trouble? Or?
No, I got in some trouble with the law. Yeah, I was hanging out with the wrong people. One of the things that I regret the most about my childhood is but I feel like it made me.
It made you who you are today.
Yeah, but I do regret some of the decisions I made, some of the people that I hung out with, and instead of playing sports, I remember the biggest impact for me was right in between my 8th and 9th grade year. Everything in 8th grade, I was sports driven, everything. And for some reason, between going to middle school and high school, that summer, I was signed up to play football, and I was going to go, try out, and it was early in the summer, but then started hanging out with my friends, messing around with the weed a little bit, and, just doing not the right thing, and just told my dad, I don't want to play. I don't want to play football. And I was really good at baseball growing up, all-stars, things like that. And I didn't even, once I stopped playing football, I didn't get into playing baseball. I never played sports in high school, which was, one of my biggest regrets.
Yeah.
And instead I wasted my time hanging out with people that, they were friends at the time, but they didn't have my best interest in mind, and looking back, that would have been one of the biggest things that I would have changed. But it made me who I am. Yeah. I was able to work. I knew how to hustle and make $1. I quickly, when I dropped out of high school, I had a full-time job. So at the age of 16, I had a full-time job as a in the grocery business, of course, because my parents were. But even though they told me not to, I got into the grocery business.
Oh,
and,
they told you not to?
yeah, they said
didn't know
stay
that.
out of it, because back in the day they paid pretty good, so they would get you in. And my parents always felt like if they got you into the grocery business,
They'll keep you there.
yeah, you start making that kind of money and it's hard to get away. So they encouraged us not to get into it, although all four of us all got into it at one point. But now, me and all my siblings, we're all self-employed, 100% commission by employees, and we all hustle and do it. None of us, working for the man, but we all got in the grocery business to start with, but got out of it. So thank goodness.
I feel kind of the same way with my family. It's not grocery, but my family is all restaurant business.
Okay.
Everybody in my family works or worked at one point in the restaurant. And my first jobs were in the restaurant.
Sure.
My first jobs all restaurant. And I tell, like, when I have relatives that go in the restaurant, I tell them the same thing. They start getting tips and all this fast cash, like, oh, I got all this cash, which isn't a lot. But when you get it in 4 hours and you get all this cash, it feels like it was only 4 hours of work. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to get just sucked in there and you're fucked. You're in there 10 years, still a waiter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you rely on that 40 or 50 bucks a night or 100 bucks in tips that night, where when on a normal job, you're going to have to wait a whole week to get your money. And so it's
Very
you
easy
rely
to
on it.
trap.
Yep. And that's what my parents didn't want, but we all got into it. But I was a full-time job at 16, making it happen. And when I was 17, I think it was about just over 17 years old. And my mom, at that point decided she was going to move out. Me and my brother and my mom were living together. My mom was going to move out, and a friend of ours moved in. So I've been on my own since I was 17. And we made it work. We went out. We realized the toilet paper just doesn't appear. You got to go and buy it. So you take things for granted when your parents are there, that things are always there, and all of a sudden you realize they're not. But again, I feel like it made me stronger. I knew how to make a dollar and do a budget, and made a lot of mistakes coming in growing up. But looking back, I can always say that I've always worked hard, and that's helped me get to where I'm at now. Yeah.
What age did you move here? You were how old?
I was about almost 19 when I moved here.
So a couple years after that.
Yeah, about a year and a half later, I moved. My roommate and brother decided they were going to move to Sacramento. So I didn't want to. I was not ready to go. I was living life down there. And again, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me was them deciding they were going to move, because I was going to stay down there. I was with my friends doing the wrong thing still and had no intention of leaving. But then when your roommate and brother decides they're going to leave, you have no choice. I couldn't make it down there on my own. Had no home to go back to. So I moved. And quickly, right after we moved here, the roommate moved back. I mean, literally, I stayed behind like a week and a half to clean up my job and everything. When I was driving up, he was already on his way back. So
Really?
His dad had already came up, picked him up with his car, and was driving all the way back to Ventura. So he hadn't even been here 2 weeks and was already moving back.
Why was it so quick?
I don't know. I don't know whether he was homesick or what it was, but he just quickly packed up. And so I never even lived with him here for one day. He was gone and went back. My brother stayed here for a while, for a couple years, and then he eventually went back as well. But quickly after I got here, life started happening. I met who is still my wife today, and
is that what kept you here? The fact that you met her and you had...
I think so. I had a good job. I was able to land a pretty good job when I got here working for Dryer's Ice Cream.
Yeah.
So I had a pretty good job, met Faith, and, just...
You were like,
I was set. And then, like I said, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me was that, because down there I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I was heading down the bad road.
When we were at your house, we were swimming this past time, remember?
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned something about that you got laid off. It was from that company, right?
Yeah. Yep. Before I opened my restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
you got laid off. Tell me again. I remember exactly how it went. You said something about you got laid off. It was a blessing because now all those people that you worked with that stayed there for 20, 30 years actually recently got laid off and looking for jobs.
They did. Yep. And that was a job I would have probably stayed in for a long time. But my wife was actually like 7 months pregnant when that happened, and we didn't know what we were going to do. No insurance, no income coming in. we were blessed to have owned a house at that time. So, back early prior to, and this is another thing that happened in my life that wouldn't normally have happened. I was working for Dryers. My wife was working for Rayleigh's, and we were renting a house, and we were with a roommate, but we needed to go on our own. My wife was pregnant at the time with my first son, and she called me. I remember exactly where I was at. She calls me. She's crying. I'm like, "What's going on?" Because we were going to rent this house, and I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Well, I went to go give him the rent, and he asked me if we had a dog." And I said, "Of course we got. Yeah, my husband's got a dog." And he's like, "Sorry, no dogs. You can't have a dog." And my wife, takes the deposit back, and he kind of asks like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "My husband's not going to give away his dog. It's not even a question." So she's crying and upset because we don't have a place to rent. We thought we were going to have a place. So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Call my brother-in-law was a lender, mortgage broker, which is what I do now. But I said, you know what? Let's fuck that. Call Mike. Let's try to get qualified for a home loan. So we called my brother-in-law, and he said, yeah, you guys together, you qualify for $170,000. Here's what your payments would be, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, fuck that. No one can tell me I can't have a dog. No one can tell me shit if I buy a house. So we bought a house we were probably 20 years old, 21 years old, bought a house. And we were very blessed to have done that. I wouldn't have normally done that had that guy told me I could have had a dog. So he told me no.
It was a good thing that it happened.
Fuck yeah. At that time she's crying. I thought, oh shit. But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened because I bought a home at that time. And then back to your question about, when I got laid off, that's what kept us going. The fact that I had equity in that house. We bought it for $144,000, and at that time it was worth like $280 to $300. So we were able to pull money out of our house, refinance, pull 30 or 40 grand out of the home, and keep living while I found a new job and what I was going to do. So had I not done that in the past, I wouldn't have had that to fall back on. Plus I had a 401k and a little bit of savings from working at Dryers, but not much, not enough to live off of. But that was a blessing. I had that house, and it wouldn't have happened had that step not happened. So certain things have happened in my life that I can look back and go, wow. I mean, my mom moving out, that was a blessing. My brother and roommate deciding they wanted to move up here was another blessing. At the time, I thought they were curses. I thought, oh man, this is not what I want. All those things that happened turned out to be great for me. So, one of the things that I always look back at is you can't judge a book by its cover. And sometimes things seem like they're down right now with the coronavirus. I mean, you're going to have to look back 3 or 4 years from now and see what it really did, because you can't tell in that time and present moment what it's going to look like. But for me, some of the worst times in my life have ended up to be the best.
Yeah.
It's really weird. True. It's really weird.
It is. I feel like that with the corona right now, because right now I'm forced to do stuff online, something I hated and I never wanted to do.
Sure.
And now I'm being forced to do it, and I'm doing good at it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, fuck, I have to keep doing it when we open.
Sure.
I'm good at it now.
That's great, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's true. I didn't see that a month ago. I didn't see it that way. I was like, oh, fuck. But
what am I going to do? And this could be a blessing if when you end up opening up and you have your repeat business that comes in and now online business. And so that's the story, man. Let's hope that, in bad times, there's good that can come out of it. You just have to stay hustling and keep moving and not let it get you down. And, again, I could have just went and looked for another house to rent, but it irritated me. And the fact that he could tell us no after telling us yes. He didn't ask the question about the dog early on. He waited till we were like done, ready to sign the paperwork, and then asked. It's like, it just irritated me. So I'm like, I'm just sick of people being able to tell me what I can do. Let's buy a house. Best thing that happened in that time. So,
and then you got your pizza place, right?
Yep. So when I ended up looking for something to get into, called my brother. Hey, I just got laid off, and he said, there's that old restaurant over there, Fast Freddy's, that's been sitting there forever. Got my wheels turning. My grandparents were always in the restaurant business. My grandfather was a chef. My grandmother was a waitress. And so they knew the restaurant business really well. I knew nothing about it, either did my brother. But I had the money and the time. My brother, of course, had the time he works a full-time business, but after he got off of that business, he would come and run the restaurant because we were partners. So he basically helped me get the business running when I had nothing going on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, made a few phone calls, talked to the guy. He was willing to sell us the recipes and things like that, and the equipment in there for really cheap. I think we bought it for like $7,000 because it had been closed down. He wasn't going to do anything with it. Then I contacted the building owner that owned the building and negotiated a 5-year lease for the building at a really low rate because, again, the building was empty. He wasn't getting anything. So I was able to negotiate a pretty low lease on the building, and went in, spent about a month or 2 months cleaning that place. It was nasty. I mean, when she closed, when the last gal closed, she literally turned the lights off, walked out, locked the door, and left. I mean, dishes in there from when she did from a year and a half, dishes in there that she had just left there. Just this place was just
filthy.
Food, just cleaning out all this old nasty food out of there, scrubbing the place, cleaning
She was tired
everything.
of it for sure. She just said
She ran it down to the
I'm
ground.
out.
Yep. She wanted to go. She didn't want to run the restaurant business and be there. She wanted to go home and let teenagers run her restaurant, and you just can't do that. You got to be hands-on. And so her restaurant quickly went in the ground. She just closed it, locked it up. Blessing again for me. Went in, was able to negotiate, open it up. About a month and a half after we got the lease, we opened up and just turned the light on one day. And I remember the first customer coming in, sitting down, like, oh shit, what do I do?
This is real.
You know, yeah. I mean, we had menus and stuff, but we didn't know. And that night was one of our busiest nights. Everyone came in. We had friends and family coming in. They would just jump behind the bar and help out and just do things just to make it work, man. And people jumped in and helped me make it happen. And my grandparents were a big, huge help on that, letting us know everything we needed to know.
How old were you then?
I was 24, 25, maybe 26, somewhere in that range. Mid 20s, yeah. Didn't know nothing about it, but I figured it out really quickly. And was able to run, and the business always paid for itself.
Yeah, and you didn't put too much thought into it. I think people can psych themselves out. Like, you could have easily been like, I don't know nothing about pizza. I don't know nothing about business, and never would have done it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Just because you could have psyched yourself out.
Yeah,
But
that's
you
a good
said,
point.
Fuck it, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Shit. You made it happen, figured it out.
I had to get business license and alcohol license and things that I mean, new stuff was hitting me every day.
Yep, and this type is the kind of shit where I feel like people are like that with everything. In boxing, in life, people always tell me I'm not going to start sparring until I get in better shape, or I do this, or I get better at boxing. Motherfucker, you're going to get better by sparring.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Get in the ring.
I think I've told you that before.
Yeah, that's how you're going to get better. Same thing with like getting a business. Like, you're not going to start up a business and know everything. You start it up and you fuck up and learn as you go.
Yep.
And that's what you did.
That's
Because you
huge.
literally knew nothing about restaurant, nothing about pizza.
Knew nothing.
Nothing
I
about
didn't
anything.
even cook, man. I maybe could
And
do
you
some macaroni
bought
and
a
cheese.
pizza parlor, bro.
Yep.
That's fucking insane. And you made it happen.
Made it work. And
you were
I
there
was
for how
able to
many years?
keep it open 2.5 years, and then was actually able to sell it, which a lot of restaurants don't sell. They close. That's how they end up, at the end of the day, they don't have much. Most businesses, I would say, fail versus selling. And I was able to sell my restaurant. And
I like this story. I like this part of the story. Tell me when you sold it, how it went down.
So
I
it
like
kind
this
of
part.
got me in. So, the only bad side of the story is the reason I sold is my grandparents started getting sick. My grandfather passed away, and it made it really hard. People came in the restaurant. My restaurant was really family feel. I mean, and that's why we did so well. People would come in and want to reserve the tables really early and stay there all night because we had Grandpa behind. People would come in, hey, Grandpa. They'd call him Grandpa. Grandma would drop off salads and drinks, and people felt like it was family. And then when Grandpa passed away, everyone who came to the door, hey, where's Grandpa? And it's like, it just made it tough, man. Grandma would break down, and just made it really tough to keep the doors open. So I thought, I can't keep doing this. My brother was working 2 jobs and was tough on him. Bless him for doing it. But he was literally working from like 5, 6 in the morning until like 9, 10 o'clock at night every day. So it was tough. So I figured, you know what? Let's just try to sell it. Called a real estate broker. He came in, looked at the restaurant. We were selling it for $100,000. That's what we wanted to sell it for, was $100,000. And he was going to get a 10% commission, $10,000 for selling the restaurant. 6 months went by, nothing, nobody. I mean, 6 months is a long time to have a restaurant when you think you're on the way out and you're just sitting there day by day grinding it out and waiting, and nothing. I remember this guy coming back in, driving, pulls up in his Beamer, Mercedes, whatever it was, nice ass car, pulls up.
You remember it was nice.
Shit, yeah. He was dressed nice, to the nines, nice watch, everything. Comes in and, hey, your restaurant's, the lease is up, or the listing. I want to renew the listing. Here, sign here. I want to renew it for another 6 months. I'm like, no, I'm not sure. We're not going to renew right now. I don't know what we're going to do. I sold it myself in 3 weeks. running an ad in the paper. And that's all I did. I didn't do anything. I ran an ad in the paper. Someone from Southern California contacted me. He wanted to open up, he worked in a pizza restaurant, wanted to open a pizza restaurant. And I negotiated with him, ended up selling it for $95,000. I was still ahead of the game because I would have paid 10 grand commission. Ended up selling it for $95,000. Took us a few more weeks to get all the paperwork and everything done. But literally less than a month and a half, I was out of the restaurant business and realizing, damn, that guy could have got a $10,000 commission if he would have spent a little bit of money on the listing, but he didn't. He just listed it, talked to his broker buddies. Hey, you know anyone who wants a restaurant? No, let me know. And that was word of mouth. That's how he was going to sell my restaurant. Well, if he would have put a little money and time into it, he would have been able to sell it and make a $10,000 commission. So that's what got me into thinking.
He had no effort.
He had no effort and didn't want to put the money into it. Sometimes it's like, well, you got
to invest.
Yeah, you got to spend money to make money, and I know that in business now, and it was like that in the restaurant business. So I started thinking, man, there's something to it. But really, the weirdest story was I was looking at what to get into. Sold my restaurant, was done with that. Thought about the real estate, but that's not what drove me into real estate. There was a guy that came in my restaurant, one of the families, because again, I told you, great families used to come in and talk with us. And this guy came in, we were talking a lot. He was a Michigan fan. He saw me wearing a Michigan hat, so we would talk a little bit about it. And then probably about 2 months after I sold, I had video games, so I got the video games that were in my business. So I still had those. I was collecting a little bit of money from the video game business that I had, but not much. I needed money. I needed to figure out what I was going to do next. And I remember sitting at my desk one time and I'm looking through, and Notre Dame and Michigan played that day, and Michigan beat the crap out of them like 56-3. And for some reason I'm like, and I thought about him, and I thought, so I called him. His name was Doug McKay. So I gave him a call. Hey, Doug, what's going on? What are you doing, man? You see that game? Yeah. What are you doing? He was in the car business, and he said, I'm actually working for a startup mortgage company. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. I said, what about the car business? He's like, dude, he knew me. He said, you're not getting in the car business. He said, you're a family man. The car business is not for the family man. Yeah. He said, dude, I know you. Don't even think about it. He said, but I'm getting in the mortgage business. I said, dude, Doug, let me take you to lunch. He said, all right. So I took him to lunch a couple days later, sat down, and I was contemplating going to barber college. I have a good friend that owns a barber salon, whatever you want to call it. And he said, I'll give you a chair, and I was looking at it. Barber college was $10,000, 10 months, 8 hours a day is like a full-time job. And then you got to have your little internship at the end. And so I'm thinking 10 grand, 10 months, like 30 to 40 hours a week. That's a lot of, to cut hair. And then I took my friend to lunch, looked at it, called real estate school, 3 weeks, like 2 hours a night, 3 nights a week for 3 weeks, cost me $400. And I could do someone's mortgage loan and sell real estate. But yet it was going to cost me 10 grand, 10 months to cut hair.
Yeah.
I thought, man, this is a no-brainer. Plus, I was big about quality of life. I wanted to never miss one of my kids' baseball games. One of the stories that sticks with me the most is when I was young, I told you my parents, they had to work. I was a big baseball guy. I hit 1 home run my whole baseball career. And nobody was there. My brother was playing on the field next to me. My dad was at work. My mom was at work, and that's just, I remember going around the bases. It's like, man, you're feeling great. And nobody, my coach was excited, my teammates, but man, I wanted some family there. So you got the ball, you go home, you got your home run ball. Great. But it's just not the same, man. There's no video. Nobody saw it. I mean, it was, all you had was the ball. But I remember growing up saying, man, this is something that I didn't want to, when I have kids and they're going through this, I want to, if my kids ever hit a home run, I'm going to be there. And that was big for me. So when I got to selling the restaurant and looking for something, the restaurant business would have never allowed me to be there for the kids. I mean, I needed to be open all the time and be there. So again, selling that was part of the decision. But barber college and real estate school, I knew barber college wouldn't allow me to be on the field on Saturdays coaching the kids. Real estate school would. So that kind of made the decision for me. It was cheaper, faster, easier, and I felt there was a big upside to it, although it was in 2007 and the mortgage business was melting down. It was like the worst time to get into the business. My wife's parents and grandparents thought I was like, what's he doing? I mean, what's he getting into this business? How's he going to support you? And me and my wife was always there for me. That's the one thing I will say, that no matter what I wanted to do, opening a restaurant, I knew nothing about it. My wife's 8 months pregnant, but yet always supported me, let me do what I want, had, all the confidence that I would make it work. And I can't say that for a lot of wives out there that would sit back and be pregnant, no insurance, no money coming in, and let their husband go open a restaurant that he knew nothing about, and hope that it would work. But my wife was always supportive for me. She was always in my corner. He was always doing whatever I needed her to do. And she stepped up and started working part-time she'd work in the morning. I would do the restaurant in the afternoon, and we did what it took to make it work. But it was, her support and us taking a chance, but it was one of the better things I've done. And, but I wanted to be there for my kids, and that business allowed me to do it. So I got licensed, went and hung it in, and sat down with a guy who was starting that mortgage company and said, man, I want to work for you. And it was hard because they knew I knew nothing. The mortgage business was melting down. It was a company that only had 3 people working for him. So not much training. He's like, Rodney, I don't have much to offer you. But if you want to start, I think that you got enough motivation and drive. I'd love to give you a chance. And again, blessed that he was willing to give me a chance to start my business knowing nothing. And,
And you killed it. How did you handle those years, man?
Well, I mean, I did. I had good habits. I was willing to go in and do anything that it took to get business. I was hungry. And I think me and you were talking at lunch the other day, and motivation is one thing, but, I didn't have a crutch. I had nothing to lean on. There was no option. I had to make it work.
Yeah.
And you were talking the same thing. I'm like, hey, Jose, how you doing with the gym? And what'd you say?
I said, I'll make this shit happen. No
Yeah.
matter what, we'll make it happen.
I said, what are you going to do if it's going to take 6 months? And you said the same thing. It doesn't matter. What if it's a year? I'm going to make it.
I'm going to make it happen regardless.
And I know that about you. And I was the same way. I mean, there's no way I was going to let it fail. I couldn't.
Yeah.
People are, what motivated you? And my motivation stared at me in the mirror, and my motivation was laying next to me, and my wife and kids, and you got to make it work. So, I was able to get in and, hold open houses with real estate agents. I would work 6-7 days a week at that time. I would do whatever it took to get in front of people who could help me. Yeah. And I learned a lot about the business. I would call and just call banks and make up scenarios, pretend I had a buyer. Hey, I got a buyer that's got a really low credit score and they have no money down, and what can we do? And they would help me structure the deal. So then I quickly figured out how to structure loans for borrowers. And then, just slowly, remember my first deal was my wife's sister. All of a sudden I got lucky. She wanted to buy a home, got her pre-qualified. And then I took her to one of the biggest real estate agents in the office and said, hey, I got a buyer here. They want to go find a home. They already have a home they want to buy. So I basically handed him a paycheck.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
Said, here you go. And those real estate agents back in the day, 3% commission on a 250 days, $7,000 I handed him. And he didn't know me from Adam, but yet said, hey, here's a deal. I'd love to work with you, show you what I can do.
Relationship right there.
I remember, he called me a couple weeks later and said, hey, Rodney. So, he said, you want to pre-qualify some of my buyers who are writing offers on my homes? I said, I'd love to. Busy work. It didn't really get to a lot of business, but it enabled me to get my phone to ring. So now all of a sudden people are calling me saying, hey, I want to buy this house, but I got to call you first. Can you qualify me? So that helped me. But if I wouldn't have took that guy that deal, I wouldn't have gotten that chance, which helped me, again, get busy and stay busy. So, things have happened, and I won't say it's all luck, but I'm a true believer in God. I look back and believe that, he didn't want me to grind my life out at Dreyer's Ice Cream. I mean, that wasn't his goal for me. So he quickly, closed the door, but he opened a window, and all of a sudden I looked at, calling my brother and just certain calls, everything that happened, I can look back and go, man, it wasn't meant to be like this, but it is. And I look back and I can only thank God for, like I said, putting me on the right steps to where I'm at now.
Because literally your whole life was like that.
It was. Literally, looking back.
Like you as a little kid growing up, every little thing has been like that.
I can look back to one little moment in my life every time and look at it, how much it was a big game changer. And if that one little thing, if I wouldn't have made that one call that one day, if that one guy would have let us have a dog, if that, I wouldn't have got laid off from this job, just certain things that have happened have been truly blessings. But again, I can only thank God and know that there's just no way that this is all just luck. So
yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, man.
One thing that I love that you said to me when I talked to you when we had lunch, that right now during this time has been one of your craziest, busiest time. Why? What?
It's a combination. I mean, interest rates are really good right now. But yeah, I've been able to have I've been a mortgage broker for 13 years now. Been very blessed. I've been, in the top 3 in my company for the last 10 years straight. One of their top producers. I was number 1 last year and I had my best year last year. And this year already is up by like 50%. Truly blessed. I honestly don't know. I think it's a combination of the market, interest rates, things like that going on. Maybe.
And you.
Well,
that's why
I like to think I have a little to do with it.
When I went to your office, you were the only one there.
Well,
so
I'm still there working. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's got to be a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Besides all the other things you named, it
Sure.
was you, because you and one other person I know are not big on social media at all and have their businesses doing amazing, which nowadays is kind of like rare. I mean, you use social media to grow your business. You use it as a business tool. I certainly do. Like, social media for me is everything, because that's literally my phone ringing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, if my social media ain't going off, something's wrong.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's very important that I'm all on it.
I just got on Facebook for the first time in January. So
Yeah.
I've been on for 4 months now, and everyone's been on for a long time. Instagram. I mean, I'm just starting to, I hired a full-time marketing assistant 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And that's another reason why my business has really been taking off. I put some steps in place. I want to grow my business, but I don't want to ever give up my quality of life. It's very important for me to be there for my kids, spend that time, be there to eat dinner with my family, be there on the weekends. So I will hire people to help my business grow, but I'm not going to sell my soul and work 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. This business will allow you to do that.
It is not worth it.
It's not. Your kids grow up fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
not worth it.
Life goes by so quick. I mean, if anything, that's the one thing is you got to enjoy it.
So what you said that day when we had lunch, that day you told me you had your best month, you told me, I don't know if you remember this, but you told me personality is way more than any education. Remember we were talking about it?
Yep.
That's the reason why I brought it up. That one is 100% I agree to the T, because it doesn't matter what you know. If you can't talk to somebody, you can't build a relationship, you can't build this. That is your network. That is everything. And I think that is something you have down so good. Besides, that's what's blowing you up, because the way you're taking care of all your customers and all that. You don't need social media, because your warm market of everybody you talk to is exploding you up. You know what I mean? Because how you taking care of them and your personality.
Yeah. I do feel education can only take you so far, but I feel like your personality can take you so much farther. I mean, people got to like you. People do business with who they like. They don't do business with the smartest guy. Yeah. They don't look at your diploma on your wall and go, that's who I want to work with. Yeah. If so, I'd be screwed. My diploma doesn't say nothing, so I'd be in big time trouble. But I was blessed. I mean, not to brag, but I made more money this month than I made my whole last year at Dreyer's Ice Cream in 1 month. So, I mean, like I said, that's God put me in this place. It is. And with no education, with very little education, mostly street education, and just figuring out how to work and hustle, talking with people, how to relate to people. Like I told you, that's the one thing I would strongly encouraging my kids to do is I'm not pushing college. I mean, if they want to go, I will support them. I have enough money to pay for them to go to college, but I'm not going to let them waste my money going to college just to go to college. I'm not going to pay for them to party. And that's what colleges do a lot of times. I'd rather him go get a job first in the service industry as a waiter, something working with people and figuring out how to talk with people, how to work on personalities and how to just relate to people. And I think that's going to take him so much farther. I said, you don't know, that one person that you meet, again, that guy coming into my restaurant with his family was a Michigan fan. That call that day led me to something. If that guy never came into my restaurant that day, or I never had that conversation with him, it would have never maybe led to what it did. I try to tell him that you got to have conversations and do something different. And, school is great. It takes people pretty far in life, but it's not everything.
And the Black Mirror now is really messing everybody up. Everybody being on their phone. So now you're being less. That's the being able to communicate and talk is even worse now.
Yeah. Eye contact. I mean, kids won't make eye contact with you very rarely.
Or one word answers.
Yep. Short answers. Good. Yeah. Good. How you doing? Good. It's like, really? Give me something else. I'm doing okay. You got to give something to build on. You got to be able to go back and forth. If you got one word answers, you can't have a conversation. Yep. It's really short and hard. And so I think these kids, need to learn how to conversate and talk, and that's going to take them, farther than education.
Is that a tip you would give to any young man? Is that the tip you would get?
Yeah.
Learn how to talk, communicate, build
Yep.
relationships.
Yep. Personality. Go out there and talk with people. Learn how to mirror and match. That's one of the things in my business. When I sit down with someone who's an engineer and they're very methodical and they're all about the numbers, I can't sit here and just talk about my life and how I got into doing loans and all. They don't want to hear that. They want to know what the numbers are, what their payment is, how much cash they need. That's it.
Yeah.
Then I know that if I got someone who's a more bubbly personality, then I need to talk it up. I need to get them to like me. It's not about the numbers. It's about them trusting me and liking me and knowing, that I'm going to take care of them and that I'm going to structure that deal the way that I would structure my own or my mom's deal. Yeah. And as long as they know that, the numbers don't matter. They're going to trust me and so I need to know who I'm dealing with and how to work with that person.
I tell my trainers that all the time. You got to know who's in your class. Because once you know who's in your class, you're going to know how you're going to act and how you're going to teach them.
Yeah.
Some people want to joke around and fuck around as you're working out. Some people do not want that.
Yep.
So
one of the things that taught me the most, honestly, Jose, is coaching kids.
Yeah,
coaching kids and I tip my hat to you. You're one of the best kid coaches I've seen, and it's in a different sport, but you really know how to relate to these kids. You know what they're looking for. Man, any parents that are out there, if you don't have your kids talking with Jose, you need to, because again, that's what I like about your business model now versus the old business model. You now have kids coming in masses, where before they didn't have kids in this gym. When I first started, there were no kids in this gym. They just didn't come in. Now you are working with the kids. But me coaching baseball and working with those kids, it taught me that little Johnny right here, he's not going to work very well if you tell him, he sucks and get better. This guy needs encouragement. This one over here, he needs you to get on him. He needs you to make him run laps and tell him, dude, you suck today. You need to get better. Certain kids deal with different things, and you got to figure out who you got, like you said, who's in your class, who's on my team, and deal with them all a little bit differently. And being a successful coach will help you also be a successful business owner.
In baseball and all that, but you also boxed. Remember you had those fights
with you? Yes.
Yeah. How were those?
They were good, man. It was another thing.
You went actually right here in that corner. You dropped the guy.
Yeah,
I was on the outside. I was in your corner, and as soon as you dropped him, I jumped up in the air. I was so happy. I was pumped up. Like, hell yeah, Rocky dropped.
He fell right between my legs, but I still lost that fight somehow, man.
Nah, it was bullshit.
It was. I agree, man.
Come on.
I think it was
Where
too.
Where
but
you get your nickname from, Rocky? Tell everybody.
Rocky Marciano, when I walked in, one of the old Angelo, said, dude, that guy looks like, and he actually had Rocky Marciano up on the wall. And
you do look like him.
Yeah, so I do have a resemblance to him. So all of a sudden then, just started morphing from there.
What does your wife say about us calling you Rocky?
She doesn't. She knows. Now it's just second nature. She hears it and knows exactly what it is. But, sometimes.
Did you show her the picture of Rocky Marciano?
Yeah, she's seen it. Yeah.
Does she agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've showed her once, but yeah, I mean,
because I've had conversations with her, and I say Rocky, and she says Rodney. And I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking forget. I need to say Rodney.
Yeah, no, she does. She definitely recognizes it more now, especially since she's been around you guys. You guys have been training her, but yeah, that was. You've always been in my corner, man. Whether it's been in the ring or not in the ring, I could always count on you. But every time I've ever gone in the ring, you were my trainer. You were in my corner, and
it was good.
Man, it was fun. It was good times.
I feel the same way about you, bro, and I appreciate you. I think, like I told you, you made a big impact in my life when I was 17, and all those. These are the conversations. All these things that you've been hearing right now on this podcast. This is what I was hearing as a 17-year-old boy. For real, this is what I was hearing, and he was telling me, talk to people, get around people, da 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 da. So what did my ass do? Talk to people, da 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 da. Started creating relationships with all these people, and all these opportunities that happened to him. That so and so that like Michigan did that. Well, same with me. So and so that was getting rid of a gym offered me a gym. So and so that this and that. It was because of the same thing that that you taught me. Things that you told me is the same shit. Wow. Same shit. But what happened is I listened, and then I put it to action. I didn't just listen and kept going about my day. I listened, and I was like, you know what? Shit, it is working. And I started being the most polite person in the world, talking to everybody, saying hello to everybody, because I was not like this before. And I'm just talkative, smiling, and greet everyone.
Well, man,
you know what I mean?
Your personality, you've had it there. I mean, it may not have been shining at that time, but you always have had it. You've always been a people person. People have always gravitated towards you, and you were always there. I mean, you would reach out to us when we weren't in the gym. So, I mean, I think part of that relationship was you you were a big part of that, because when you
that
left this
class-
gym, you would still reach out and see how we were doing. And like I said,
Yeah,
how many
'cause-
trainers are going to be willing to come to my house at 7 a.m. with their own bell and and be willing to train me because I didn't want to go back to that gym because, again, this gym took a big hit when you left because, again, your personality is what kept people coming here. And when you left, Angelo was great. I mean, he was a good guy, but you guys were the ones that people came for. People kept coming back because you and David and those guys were here training. When you guys all left at one time, man, this gym took a big hit. But you were still willing to reach out and, like I said, come to my house and train me. We were still able to stay in contact and have lunch and talk about it. And
times.
you've added as much value to me as I've added to you. But
that group too was very easy to stay in touch with. You guys were always talking shit.
yeah, I know. We would have fun in the
we would talk
mornings,
shit.
and
This fucking guy challenged me one day. Was it you? Who was the one who challenged me?
we
You or Mora?
were just talking shit. And
I couldn't remember. It was, I don't know if it was this guy or Mora. I think it was Mora or Osborne. One of you assholes.
Yeah, but I was the only one that got in the
yeah.
ring,
They
we're talking shit. And,
They
and
were
we
like,
went a little
"Oh,
too
do
far.
you even know how to box?" And then or something like that.
I was talking shit, and basically just calling out Jose, thinking that he ain't ever going to do anything about it because he was just our trainer. Well, that day he got a wild hair and decided he asked me to put the gloves on and get in the ring with him. But he goes upstairs and pulls out these 27 ounce. Well, how big are those
I
bad
don't know,
boys?
they were like 32 ounces.
Man, these are these huge ass gloves. These things are like 3 times the size of normal gloves, and puts these things on. And so I get in this ring with this guy and thinking I'm going to do something, man. But dude, how old were you? Probably 18?
I was like 16. 17.
Shit, man. Faster than hell. I remember you let me punch out. I thought I was going to be able to go in. I probably punched for about a minute and didn't hit you one time. Maybe grazed the top of your head, I think, once. And then before I knew it, I was in the corner with yellow gloves all in my face. Stars. I swear, I've been hit plenty of times. That was one of the only times I've ever seen stars, and it was with these 28-ounce gloves. But, yeah, man, I remember you telling us, don't tell Angelo.
Yeah, I was about to get fired. Because I just worked here. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, they find out I'm over here beating up the clients.
But we talked
I'm
enough
gonna
shit
get
that you
fired.
finally got enough of it. Said, all right, let's go then. Let's put them on. And, yeah, I won't make that mistake again.
It was hilarious. Oh man, good times. That was a good ass class though.
But,
I love that class.
Well, you took it easy on me this last time I had to spar you when you lost the fantasy football. So
Oh yeah.
at least I didn't get hit this time with your smaller gloves. But
Yeah, I told Oli I wasn't gonna hit you. I'm not gonna hit Rocky.
I appreciate that, man. I can't take the hits like I used to.
Nah. Anything you want to add, man? I love this. What you do now? What is so different between what you do and when another loan officer, another mortgage broker? What separates you from them? What's the biggest thing? What would you say?
Communication, everything. I mean, that's everything. Real estate agents and buyers, this is a big purchase. They want to know that you got it handled and that they're okay. And it's a 30-day process. So if you're not communicating with them, if buyers are calling you and you're not calling them back, they're thinking something's wrong. It's just, and that's the stigma loan officers used to have, is that they just didn't respond, that they, they want to know that what's going on and you're not communicating. When a real estate deal's going on, I'm in charge of everyone's life, basically. If that loan doesn't go through, you have a real estate agent that's selling a home that has a commission on the line. You have a seller that's selling a home that wants to move to another home. They're most likely buying another home and they're in contract to buy a bigger home.
Yeah.
You have a buyer that's buying that house and is relying on, they're packing their stuff up and ready to move in. And then you have a buyer's agent that also is relying on a commission. So
there's a lot
you
of
got
people you're
paychecks
affecting.
and lives on your line. And if you mess up and you don't know what you're doing, you miss the fact that a buyer had a divorce in the past or their credit score was too low for the program. You all of a sudden ruined a lot of people's lives really quickly. And it's just something that I've always taken pride in, making sure that I cross the T's and dot the I's, that I make sure I know what I'm doing. I research my guidelines. But then I've been just blessed with business. Now that I do so many deals, the more deals you do, the better you are.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
that's
get
just
better.
the way it is. You
More
go to a
experience.
surgeon and you have a surgeon that's done 3 surgeries and you got one that's done 30. Who do you think's going to do better? I don't care if this guy's educated. This guy's done it 30 times. If there's a problem, he's probably seen it before.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a loan. If there's a problem, I'm sure I've ran into it and I know how to fix that, where some loan officers just unexperienced don't do as many deals and just can't get that problem solved. And then, people's lives are affected. So communicating, being there, looking at every deal as if it were mine. I never put my paycheck ahead of the client. I mean, it's not about my income. Yeah, it's about the client and getting that deal done. And again, being blessed with business, but even early on.
You said that. I tell people that all the time. I think people are so focused on making money, and they're not thinking about doing the right thing, taking care of the person. The money comes on its own.
Amen.
You don't gotta focus on the money. Focus on just taking care of them and being a good person.
What's the saying? You help enough people get what they want, they're going to help you. You get what you want. You don't have to be selfish. You don't have to look only after your own. Do what's best for the client, and even if it's not that deal where you get paid, they will refer you. You did the right thing. They're going to send their family members to you. And I'm not in this business for 1 year to make money and get out. I'm in this for the long run. And if I do the right thing on all these deals, eventually I don't have to sell myself. My clients tell me, call him. He's going to take care of you. You don't have to worry about nothing. Don't worry. He's good. And that's why my business keeps growing year after year after year, because more clients come back and they trust me. They hear all these news, interest rates 2.87 BS. They're not. Historic low. How can they always be at a historic low? They're not. It's just smoke and mirrors, and they know that I'm not going to do that. So, just communicating with them and being honest, and I feel like business will continue to grow. But don't, it's not about your one paycheck. You try to sell your soul for that one paycheck, people will know, and they won't send business your way. And and just don't have commission breath, meaning if they can smell it, if you got to have that commission so bad that you're willing to do anything for it, they're going to tell, and they're going to walk away from that. So again, just do the right thing for the clients in the long run.
Take care of them.
Yep, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You got to be in it for the long haul. So that's what I would say.
All right, I'm gonna start asking you random ass questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
If you could name this episode anything, what would you name it?
Oh man, dude.
Come on.
Big Yellow Gloves.
That's what you'll name it?
I guess. I don't know, man. That's the last thing we talked about that sticks in my mind.
All right, something that's gonna be catchy, and you'll name it Big Yellow Gloves. That's a good phrase.
Man, I'd have to think on that, man. I'm not real good on that.
All right. No, it's good. It's good. Favorite restaurant in Sac?
Chef's Table. It's in Roseville. You said Sac,
No,
but
it's cool. Yeah,
Chef's Table in Roseville, Rockland. It's right there on Lone Tree. Great place, man. Small place, hard to get in.
Oh,
but
reservation only?
Pretty much. There's a bar site that you can go in and sit down if you can get in. But is
it right here by the Blue Oaks movie theater?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, I think I've
right
been
across
there.
there.
I've been there for lunch one time.
Yep, it's in that Applebee's parking lot.
Yes.
That new Applebee's is right there.
I
But
have
yeah,
been there.
man, the place is really good. So
what do you get there?
Mary's Fried Chicken, pesto fries, but they have a off the menu peanut butter and jelly burger sliders. They are phenomenal. They got a little bit of like sriracha sauce and peanut butter and jelly, and on top of a burger. I'm telling you,
it doesn't sound very good.
You get it, get it, man.
Very good.
I'm telling you, it's good. It's not on the menu.
I do trust you, because when we go out to eat, what do I do?
Yeah, you just tell me to order for us both, man.
Yeah, I say whatever you get, I get the same thing. And
I would never have the balls to do that. Yeah, you have done that forever.
Ever since our very first lunch date till now, I still do that. Whatever Rocky gets, I get the exact same thing.
I look forward to every one of those, man.
Yeah, me too. It's fucking peanut butter and jelly sriracha.
I'm telling you, dude. The sriracha is just a little.
It sounds weird, bro. On a burger.
Just try it, man.
All right, I'll try.
I'll take you to lunch there next time.
Something about Rocky that nobody knows. Tell me. Weird, bro. I'm still stuck on that.
I was jumped into a gang when I was 16 years old. My brother was pissed, but that's the group I was hanging out with. So I mean, it was like I said, a dumb decision. I was at a party drinking. They were all my friends, but I wasn't really, as into it as they were. But that was something I did. It was probably a gang of like 45, 50 guys. It wasn't like, but down in Southern California, there's some big gangs down there. And in my school, that's all there was. I mean, you were either in a gang, you were in sports, or you were just kind of struggling to find your way. So that's one of the mistakes that I made, was I gravitated towards more gang members than athletes. And I wish I really wouldn't have, but yeah, that was one of the stupidest things I done, but that's something no one knows.
Another thing, you're a Kings fan, baby. You're wearing a Kings hat.
Yes, sir. I wasn't always, though.
Yeah, you.
I was a Lakers fan growing up, man, but I got swept into the madness just back when you were. I heard the podcast with Bobby, man, and those years are what made me a Kings fan, man. I got swept up, and it was White Chocolate coming and Chris Webber, and those guys made it exciting. So I was quickly just gravitated. I was in Sacramento. I'd go to some Kings games and got swept up, man. Big Kings fan now, and so we're Kings, Dodgers, Lakers, Raiders, big time. So,
Yeah.
but I did convert. Don't tell. I guess that's another thing a lot of people don't know is I used to be a closet Laker fan. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, but quickly got into the Kings world.
Love you, Rocky. You converted to the dark side.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
anything you want to add?
No,
Before we
man.
end it?
Just thank you for giving me the opportunity. And like I said, I know it's not something I'm really big on. And
Thank you for making it happen because I know you didn't want to.
no, like I said, man, I do anything for you because I know you do anything for me. You
will.
always have. And
I would do anything
yeah,
for you.
man, I'd always be
You
there
might.
for you. But no, man, again, thanks for the opportunity. I hope it helps some people out there do something
will,
different with their lives.
sure.
Kids, just, go out there and learn how to conversate.
Yep.
Go
Talk
on.
to people.
Yep, talk to
How
people.
can we get it? How can we stay in touch with you? How can we
How
can we connect with Rocky?
Like I said, I'm not really. I got a Instagram on my Great to Be Rodney. Other than that, you just reach out, call me. I give out my cell phone, man, on my business. And my business is my cell phone. People are like, "Why you give out your cell phone?" It's because that's what it's always on me, man. I need to be responsive. But you can go to my website if you ever wanted to get information, and that's rodneypanderson.com. And that's my website. It has all my bios and where I've been and all my clients talking about things that I've done for them. But yeah, if there's anything I can do for anyone out there, just financial advice.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a mortgage broker, I look at the whole financial picture and look at ways to improve people's financial lives, whether it's, consolidating debt, refinancing a house, or using down payment assistance to get into a home. That's really big. That's where I love my job the most is first-time home buyers, people who didn't think they could buy. You help them rebuild their credit because their credit's thrashed. You can rebuild their credit, get them down payment assistance, and they're into a home in a short period of time, and they never thought they could.
Yeah,
and
that's
those people are fun to help.
Oh, that is super cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I think that's it. I thank you so much for being on it.
Yep. I
And,
appreciate it, man.
We
Can't
out.
wait to get back in this ring.
Yes, sir.